welcome to At the Disney Movies with the Hearts.
I'm Kelly.
I'm David.
And this week, it's planes. That was a sound of a plane, if you didn't know.
Yeah,
Could you tell? Did it sound realistic?
I got it. It was better than anything we saw in this movie.
Yeah, Kat agrees. So Planes from 2013, and we did not get to watch this on Disney Plus because it's not yet available on Disney Plus. So we had to rent it on Amazon. So the description is not available, unfortunately.
Right. They should consider not making it available on Disney Plus.
Well, I don't know, because I have some thoughts about this movie.
Okay, I do too.
Well, I'm sure that you do, but I mean, as far as like who this movie is generated for, but so it's from 2013.
Yeah.
What were you doing in 2013?
I don't know. Stuff.
One thing that wasn't, but essentially the general synopsis of this is there's a, like if there was a synopsis, it would be like, farmer crop duster plane wants to be racer, the end.
There might actually be a synopsis. But see, the thing is that it'll be available by the time this comes out, I think. Or really close to it.
No, probably that's true. So, boop, 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 boop. Edit.
Fill time, Kelly. Fill
Elevator
time.
music.
Ooh, maybe we should cut in some elevator.
Wait. The synopsis is, and this is going to be available on Disney Plus November 5th, 2020. The world of Cars takes flight in planes. Disney's high-flying animated comedy featuring Dusty, a crop duster with dreams of competing in the greatest air race ever. Will he find the inspiration and courage to be more than he was built for?
I dare them. I double dog dare them to find where the comedy in this movie is. I would like you to find me one laugh. I don't recall either of us laughing.
Well, no, there was one line that made me have a little chuckle, but it was like a small chuckle, like not even a chuckle, it was more of a chuck. Like that. But I don't remember what it was. It was that unnotable that I didn't write it down.
Yeah.
It was something that the two little planes said, the two, the sidekick planes of the bad guy. Alright,
that's fair. So, from this high-flying comedy, we got one half of a chuck. Yeah.
So, what was interesting, though, is it was directed by Clay Hall, and that's Clay with a K, and he directed up King of the Hill.
Maybe an episode.
No, for like 7 seasons. Or 7 years.
I don't think that that's possible.
I looked it up, dude.
Well, I think that you looked up that it said King of the Hall blank through blank. But...
No, King of the Hill, but it said like a lot of years, like more than 2.
That doesn't necessarily mean that.
And he was a director on The Simpsons for a number of years.
He directed one episode of The Simpsons, maybe.
But it had multiple years.
It's the years that the thing is active, not that they actually did it.
Isn't that what IMDb is, though? Like, it shows the years that they did it?
No.
Oh. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Did I read that wrong?
Okay, so he did get credit for 94 episodes of King of the Hill.
Yeah. So, I don't know exactly what happened between that, because we love King of the Hill.
Yeah, who doesn't?
And I don't know what happened between that and this.
This is just a flaming pile of garbage with no writing. Terrible acting.
Yeah.
Terrible acting.
Well, and it's voice acting, but like still.
Dane Cook destroyed this movie.
Yeah, so they do have Dane Cook, who plays Dusty. And I don't really actually know, I haven't seen a lot of Dane Cook. The only thing when I think about Dane Cook is like
MySpace.
A little bit of stand-up that I remember watching like for the hot second that he was popular, and then he was in that movie Good Luck Chuck.
I don't know what that is.
That's all I remember.
Well, for like 5 minutes, he was like the most popular comedian in the country, and it was all because of MySpace. Like, he had this huge MySpace following, and
oh, I don't know anything about that.
yeah. But by this time, he was not anybody, and his lack of personality really shows throughout this movie.
Yeah.
And same thing with Brad Garrett, who's his sidekick, Chug.
Yeah, and Brad Garrett, the only thing I really know him from is Everybody Loves Raymond. And I didn't even watch Everybody Loves Raymond.
Right. And that's all anybody would ever really know
his
from.
His voice is very familiar.
And the worst of the worst of the voice actors in this is the... Oh, shoot.
Wait, which one?
Dottie, the mechanic.
Oh, that's Terry Hatchett?
Yeah, she is god-awful.
I didn't even recognize her voice, and I watched her for years on Desperate Housewives and on that Superman show that was on TV.
Same.
And I like her a lot.
But she is not made to be a voice actor. She's made to be seen and not heard.
Yeah, she's very, like I could not place her voice.
She sounded mechanical and robotic. It was terrible.
Yeah, it was not good.
It was, every time that character spoke was just, ugh.
And then they had Stacy
Keach
was the skipper, and
he was.
I've heard him before and stuff.
Oh sure, yeah, he's the guy with the hair lip. He's all over the place with the mustache. Looks like a cop.
I don't know. I tried to look it up
in a bunch of Cheech and Chong movies.
Yeah, I knew who he was. Like, I'd heard his name and I recognized his voice, but like I looked at IMDb, I'm like, I don't know any of this.
He was in Sons of Anarchy. That's where you'd recognize him.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because he sounded really familiar.
Yeah, and he's the best part of this movie, which says absolutely nothing.
Well, and then I was like really surprised. Actually, what did make me chuckle was looking at IMDb. I did not recognize Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Rochelle.
Well, yeah, because she had an accent and was
like,
unintelligible almost the whole time. Yeah,
it was a total waste of her talents.
Absolutely.
Like, it was just not good.
They could have made her Dottie instead, and that would have been a lot better.
Probably would have been better. Most definitely. So, what is your history of this movie?
I have never even heard of this movie until we rolled it.
So, I had briefly heard of this movie, but I didn't know what it was about. But I knew it was from the same universe as Cars. The Cars franchise from Pixar. But this is like not Pixar. This is just Disney.
It's Disney.
John Lasseter did write on this movie,
which is shocking to me.
Like, he really took a
I don't know.
Probably right before he got fired.
I don't know what happened with this. Like, whoa.
Yeah. So we both hadn't really heard this movie. We didn't really know what it was about. I kind of had a feeling about, just because I knew a little bit about Cars, even though I haven't actually seen Cars.
Are there people in Cars?
No.
Because there's no people in this, and it just, to me, I can almost kind of see where Cars are a little better as people with the eyes, like, but here, just having the windscreens.
Yeah, no, there's really, no people in Cars.
This really doesn't work. Like,
no.
And I don't know who this is for.
I do.
Throughout my notes, I was like, who is this movie
for? Little boys.
No. Little boys are not going to like this movie because it's stupid. So? It's boring.
But, like, I'm talking about, like, little boys who are like, I'm into trucks and planes and, like...
No. So, like, a 3-year-old boy through one specific part of his life, and he might like it, but there's not enough laughs or, like, entertainment to get you through this movie.
There's not even, like, stupid fart jokes in this movie.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, there's nothing there.
There's not a chuckle. There's nothing. There's nothing.
So, okay, your initial overall thoughts are...
this movie.
There we go.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, this movie, yikes. But I think it was designed for little boys. Like, but also, I just think they were trying to, because this came out after Cars, clearly. Okay, but... They're just trying to capitalize on the success of Cars, that's it.
But that was a terrible decision. Oh, well,
the Cars has like 4 movies.
Let's see, what if we do Cars? Let's do planes. Why not boats? Why not just do something else?
Or
because
trains.
Trains would be a...
Well, but little boys love trains.
But see, that's missing the point of what is whatever. Cars are versatile. Cars can have personality. Planes just misses the mark by so much, especially it being a bunch of prop planes.
Well, and if they're going to do this, they could have made it better. Like, They could have had more laughs, like you said, more personality. Like,
There was no reason to make this movie. It was terrible.
It was pretty bad.
So...
Regretting my... Okay, we'll get there. But, okay, so basically, like, you could have told the story of this movie, like, just from the description. I knew what was going to happen.
Oh, yeah, this movie could have easily been 25 minutes long.
Like, it could have been like a short, like a Mickey short.
Yeah, but it was just a stretched out version of 1.5 races and a little in between of the beginning and the middle-ish.
So, basically, the movie opens up and he's having so we have our main character, Rusty, who's
Dusty,
Dusty, whatever. See, that's how unmemorable it is. I don't even remember his name.
I had to write down all the characters right afterwards so that I could remember who they all were, because it was not going to happen otherwise.
So bad. But so he's having a dream that he's like flying. I don't even remember.
It was a ripoff of the opening of Top Gun.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, he was racing against fighter jets.
Oh, okay.
Kind of ripping off the opening of Top Gun.
Who was that?
Why, hello, ladies. You ready to lose?
Last one to the water tower. Buys a round of fuel.
Tell you what, I'll give you guys a head start. You're gonna need it.
Later, loser.
Okay, so that says how little I watched Top Gun.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's nothing. I mean, so here he is, a little crop duster prop plane, flying against spider jets, like racing right up against them, and then, poof. Oh, you see that he's actually just a crop duster flying with some other crop duster dusting
Which anytime
crops.
someone says crop duster, I don't think about, like, plane crop dusting.
You think of farts. Yeah, and that's what it looks like they're doing in the thing. They're letting out brown,
and then
smoky...
there's, like the old, like, tiny farmer crop duster plane who's like, oh, I love that smell, blah, 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 blah. And, like, you don't ever get his name. Like, he's just, like, some old guy. Like, I don't know. It was just, that part was weird to me. Like, I wanted to see more of that guy. Like,
yeah,
he's
that
like
was
a crazy
actually...
old guy.
Yeah, okay, that was one of the better parts.
Like, at the beginning, but then, so basically, like, he's done with his crop dusting shift or whatever, and he's like, oh, we're gonna go practice flying, and he has a friend who's a truck named Chug.
Chug, it's a fuel truck.
Yeah, and he's talking about how he, like, corn fuel or something, which didn't really make sense to me, because this is supposed to be some tiny town in, like, nowhere, why would you be talking about corn fuel?
Well, I think they were talking about all the different kinds of alternative fuels, which was a really hot thing in 2013.
Oh, I guess
so they're talking about
true.
algae fuel and this fuel and that fuel. And now it's just like, well, that joke, quote unquote joke, just hits like a pancake because alternative fuels are dumb. And,
I didn't even remember that about
right. And even corn fuel, no. Not for planes. Sorry.
But then, like, Dottie comes, and he called her Shelby, and so I got so confused.
Right, that was really confusing at the beginning. I was like wait.
Like, oh, Shelby. Like, I wrote down Shelby, like, oh, Dottie. I'm like, wait, her name's Dottie. Okay, like, was it, like, Shelby? Like, is that a joke, a reference to something else
It
that
could have
I'm
been.
too ignorant to know about?
Same goes, like...
But...
It was whack.
I thought that she was supposed to be, like, his girlfriend... first, and that's clearly not the thing. And maybe that's me for, reading into the stereotypes.
Oh, no, it kind of seemed like that at first.
It was weird, and then...
their whole relationship just flipped like a pancake, like, a few minutes into the interaction.
Yeah, and, like, there's no background about, like, that's the problem with this movie, is there's no, like, attachment to the characters, because... Like, with Dusty, there's no background as to, like, maybe there's, like, a scene with, like, his dad plane or whatever, however it works in this universe, being like, you can't be a racer, you're gonna be a crop duster. Like, there's no build-up. It's just all of a sudden, it's like, oh, we need some help.
Or just, like, his life. There was, like, 2 seconds of him crop dusting, and then... You're a racer!
Well, and what it is, like, while he's flying around being crazy and talking to Chug, like... There's, like, some old crotchety plane in, like, a hangar, like, peeking through the blinds, and you're like, oh, what's that? It doesn't really show anything. And then he's like, I'm going to be a racer. And then all of a sudden, Dottie and Chug are like, maybe we need some help. We should get Skipper, the warplane, to help us. who's like the guy that's peeking through the blinds. And it escalates very quickly.
Yeah, super quick. All of a sudden, Warplane's helping.
Well, at first he was like, "No, I'm not going to help you." Like,
yeah, but that was like a
away.
quick bit. Like
a
really dumb,
one of the
quick
better bits
bit.
of the movie.
Oh, yeah. Which says, which really speaks volumes to how bad this movie is.
But
that the best scene of the movie is like...
No, he doesn't agree to help him yet.
That's what I'm saying. The best scene of the movie is a tried and true trope through all these cartoon movies where it's like, ding dong, please help us. No, go to hell, close the door. Ding dong, please help us. Like...
But even then, he doesn't agree to help him.
He does.
No, not until after the race. Because he goes... Yeah. Because he goes to the... It goes from that to him going to the trial for this race. And it's like, ladies and gentleplanes.
Yeah. So many...
So many plane puns.
Plane puns that all landed flat and hard. Like,
And I guess that's the humor they put in there.
But it wasn't funny. It
No.
didn't work. And we like puns.
We do like puns. I do
And
like a good pun.
none of them worked. It was painful.
No, it was pretty bad. But that's the thing is there's like a trial. And this is what I guess is the biggest thing that flopped for me. It sounds silly, but like he just shows up to go to this trial for supposedly going to like the top plane race in the world.
Oh, right,
and then,
yeah.
like, you don't have to qualify for anything. You just show up.
You just show
and,
up.
like, oh, if you get in the top 5, you're going.
You qualify in this one race and
like,
you're going.
It doesn't make sense.
No. It doesn't make sense at all.
And he basically, like, sees all the other planes. There's, like, a fancy, like, celebrity plane who is the villain.
Rip Slinger.
Yeah, which is, like, the dumbest name ever.
Yeah.
And basically, like, there's, he decides his name is going to be Strut Jetstream.
Well, really, one of the things about this is that plane names and terminology are not widely known.
Well, but no, they're not. And, like, they could have, I don't know.
You leaned heavily on it. That's kind of why I'm like, with the little kids, this doesn't pop. Like, a little kid doesn't know what an aileron is. Like,
A what?
An aileron, the little part on the wing that moves up and down.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, but that was prominently used in this movie plenty of times.
Oh.
Like, the terminology, like, a car terminology is not deep. Like, you can make it where people can go, oh, ha, 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 ha. In this, it was just, like, I know what these things are, and I'm just like, why would you use that? Like, it just doesn't work for people.
But basically, he, like, goes through the trial. He doesn't make it because he gets 6th place. And it's very dramatic, and he, like, does a good job. And keeping in mind that he's a crop dusting plane, so you can picture that style of plane. He's going against, like, jets, basically.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, that does not work. Like, I'm sorry. And, like, I know that's the whole thing of the movie, but, like...
But the premise of the movie is stupid.
Like, that literally does not work.
Yeah.
That would be like me being like, I'm gonna go be a WNBA player at 5'6". Like, no, like, I'm sorry,
right.
Like, and overweight, like that doesn't work.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. With your 3-inch vertical and your non-existent jump shot.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But basically, he doesn't make it, and he's all sad, and the skipper's like watching him, and this is where he decides to help because he sees him being all sad. But no, he doesn't decide to help yet because he didn't make it. But then, like, the Wings Around the Globe race announcer comes to the small town.
The urban race announcer.
Yeah. And he comes into the small town and he's like, I'm looking for Strut Jetstream. And Chug, his friend, is so stupid. He's like, I don't know who that is.
Right. And they have... So, Chug is the stereotypical dumb character.
Well, at least it's not Larry the Cable Guy, honey.
Okay. But we've been talking about the stereotypical dumb character that everybody likes in all these movies. You cannot like Chug.
No, I don't like him. He's dumb.
Nobody can like him because he's dumb in a not funny way. It's terrible. Yeah, okay. So, and when Skip offered his help, I this is what I wrote. I wrote, a tiring lack of substance as Warplane talks shit, then offers help.
Yeah, well, and before he offers help, so the announcer guy comes and he's like, basically
Right.
says the 5th place finisher was busted for plane steroids. or some kind of fuel.
Some kind of fuel additive, yeah.
Steroid fuel, essentially. Well, at first the skipper is like telling him like this is a bad idea for like a second, and then he's like, "Okay, I'll help you."
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like he was talking shit, and then he's like, "Fine, I'll help." And it was just that scene was just exhausting.
Yeah, it was stupid. It didn't really make any sense. And then we find out what Dusty's weakness is because Skipper's like, "Oh, go up in the jet streams. You're going to go super fast." And then Dusty can't do it because he's afraid of heights. He's a plane who's afraid of heights.
Yeah, which is just...
And even Chug is like, "But you're a plane."
Yeah.
And he's like, "But I'm a crop dusting plane. I don't fly very high." Like, it's dumb.
Yeah, it's super dumb.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I don't like it.
Yeah, I wrote "afraid of heights" stupid in all capital letters.
Yeah, it's just not... It's so dumb. But then there's like a training montage, basically.
Which was super repetitive and nothing really happens.
Except for where you see tractor cows.
I thought that was terrible.
Yeah, why... So that's what...
That wasn't at that part of the movie, was it?
No, it was. They come up later, but this part, because at first they're
yeah.
just sitting there, like, not reacting to him. And then at the end of the montage, when he starts going super fast, they're like, they get, like, blown over, and they're like, "Moo!" And I'm like, "Oh, I get it. You're supposed to be a cow,
I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that until the India part, but we'll get there.
Yeah, no. Like... And this one doesn't make sense. That's the other thing. When you're doing storytelling, if you're creating a world, like if you're going to create a world where there's cars and planes and boats and trains and
tractors,
all of these methods of transportation that are basically like
different kinds of people.
What's the word when it's like you give something that's not
anthropomorphic?
Thank you. If you're going to give these machines anthropomorphic features, like, obviously humans are not the same as cows, so why would a tractor be a cow and then everybody else is just like a plane or a person? Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't...
Well, right, and even...
It doesn't make sense, and so that's the breakdown, is like the world does not make sense.
Even in the crowds, like, later on, there's cars and planes in the crowd. Well, what's the difference? I don't understand.
I don't either. And like the cars are like cheering on the planes, and I'm like, so are planes better than cars? Is that what you're trying to say? Like,
or is there not really any difference? Like, I don't get it.
I don't know, but basically Skipper trains him. There's a whole montage, and then at the end he gets a special tattoo, basically like spray painted on him. I think it's supposed to symbolize a tattoo, right?
I guess. I just thought it was supposed to be him being a Jolly Rancher, an honorary Jolly Rancher.
And he's gonna go to the race now, and he flies to New York, and they have the hip hop scene.
The whack ripoff of Jay-Z and what's her name's New York song.
Alicia Keys.
Yeah, I mean it's a blatant ripoff of them doing that song.
It was just weird.
Where we from? New York City, come on. New York City, I'm home. Yeah, New York City is on. And you don't stop. That's right.
It was weak.
He's like, I gotta go. Where's JFK Airport? And then
and then they made JFK Airport sound like JFK, which made no sense. Like, are you kidding me?
What do you mean?
So the airport that was talking like the air traffic control.
Yeah.
That's what JFK sounded like.
Oh,
and it was
I didn't catch that.
So there was like this thick Boston accent for a New York airport, which was just weird.
It seems like in poor taste.
It just seemed dumb.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
But he goes there, and then he makes his way to where all the other competitors are after almost getting run over through the airport by giant jumbo jets.
Yeah, because he didn't know basic flight line etiquette. I mean,
and
come on.
How are you going to do that? Like,
It's like a 20-minute class.
Yeah.
I've passed many of them.
And then he meets, like, the Indian plane, who's, like, a lady plane. Ishani. And she, like, goes away, and he's like, look at that propeller, which is basically, like, propeller's code for ass.
Well, because her propeller was in the back of the plane.
No, I know. And he's...
Yeah, and That was by Priyanka Chopra.
Yeah, she's a famous Indian actress.
Yeah.
There's planes from all sorts of different
because
countries.
she was one of the more talented voice actors. She didn't sound like...
Yeah.
She was one of the less grating ones.
Yeah.
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 That's what I was going to throw in there. And then we are introduced
and she has,
to...
like, henna tattoos all over her plane. Like,
don't
that
get me
was the other
started.
part of this, is that, like, there was just the most stereotype of stereotypes for everything that came into a different culture was a stereotype. This would not fly today.
I don't
it's
know.
not that many years ago.
I don't know
like,
why it flew then, and I don't know why
would
it
not
flies
fly
at all.
planes.
Yeah, no, I know.
You see what I did there?
Because we come right into our racist Mexican plane, Chupacabra.
Oh,
I will see you in the skies, amigo.
I can't.
It is so stupid.
I can't.
It just hurts how dumb and how terrible this plane that is very prominent through the rest of the movie, and it just sucks.
Well, and it's like, it's not even like, oh, he has a Hispanic accent. He is literally like a Mexican wrestler because he has the mask and the cape. And it's straight up from, did you ever see Nacho Libre?
No, I wouldn't bother.
But it's actually not that bad. But, like, that's their whole thing.
Yeah.
The wrestlers wear, like, the masks and the capes.
And the stereotypical lover Mexican guy, like...
It's just, yeah, so he's, like, becomes friends with the Mexican plane. I don't know. Like,
and so right after that scene, I wrote, "This is a flaming trash barrel." Because it just is bad.
Yeah,
it's hard to explain just throughout the whole movie how unlikable it is. There's nothing funny. There's nothing good that happens.
No.
I don't understand.
And, like, I don't know, but they go and they're going to start the race.
The wings around the globe.
Yeah, they go into the stadium and there's just cheering cars
and planes
everywhere. I don't get it. That's what I wrote.
Yeah.
And I don't even really... I, even as I'm taking notes, I'm like, I don't remember this part. I've forgotten half this movie already.
Yeah.
But he comes in last during the first part.
Because he's flying 3 feet off the water for an ungodly distance.
Right. It was like the cold part and his wings got all frozen.
Yeah, over Iceland. From New York to Iceland. Like, and here's this plane, like, basically skipping off the waves.
That's right. Yeah.
I almost ran into a 10-story iceberg. Like, you can fly 100 feet in the air. Give me a break.
Yeah, crop duster planes do it all the time in real life.
Yeah.
But he's afraid of heights, so, whatever.
Yeah.
But then, like, the next leg, there's, like, a British plane called Bulldog.
Of course.
Yeah, and he's, like, a proper British old man plane. It's, like, he's, like, an old-timer, clearly.
Oh, but right before that, we got it's not speed, but skill that wins. Except for if a plane is super faster than you. Because all of those planes could dust the stupid crop duster plane. There's no reason for this movie to exist. But...
Yeah. But basically then the British plane, like, something happens to his engine. He gets, like, oil in his eyes. He's going to crash. But then he's like, oh, I'm going to come help you. And, like, guides him into land.
And there's, like, no drama through it. Like, it's so bland. Even though it's, like, supposed to be this great thing that happens, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And now what?
And then they go, and there's, like, a bar that's for cars. Like, they're in a bar scene.
I don't remember that at all.
No, yeah, because, like, the little fan, like, the German or Swedish, I know that sounds bad.
I kind of remember the German car
but he
that
comes
turns
up
into
and he's
a plane.
like, oh, I am actually a flying car. There's only 6 of us built. No. But, and he, like, once he turns into a plane, he has, like, a different personality.
Yeah, different voice.
And they're like, oh, this is weird. And, but basically he's like, oh, we're rooting for you. As he's in last place again.
And we is just him.
Yeah. And then I don't know who it was. Somebody's like, why don't you take your duster off? Because he still has his stupid...
I think it was that little car, and then somebody else had said it earlier. That's like, so he finally gets neutered by taking his duster off, which
like,
was
why
dumb.
would you not do that ahead of time?
Yeah, there was no reason.
It did. No sense. No reason to not do it. You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes
And
no
so
sense.
all of the sudden, okay, now his duster's off, and now it's the fastest plane on Earth.
Well, not the fastest, but
No, he starts gaining incredible amounts of ground.
He does.
Which basically makes it the fastest plane on Earth. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And then there cuts to, like, a scene where, like, back to where Skipper is, the warplane, and he's like, I'm gonna fly. And then he's like, just kidding, no, I'm not.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, no, like, the little truck, like, takes him out there. He's like, I'm gonna fly. He starts his engine.
Oh, no,
and
yeah,
then he,
okay.
like, is like, no, I can't. And you're like, this is weird. And it's not really explained.
Not explained at all. And then you see that, for some reason, after, like, a win, I guess, that the merch is selling for...
Yeah, because Chug is, like, selling all this merch, which was actually one of the, like, the only, like, oh, that's kind of funny.
But it
wasn't funny.
It
but, like,
wasn't.
maybe that's what made me chuckle, because he was like, get your blah, blah, blah merch, and he had, like, the mug that had the propeller on it, and you put the coffee in it, and it, like, spins
and
the
bubble.
propeller.
That was actually one of the best jokes of the movie, which is sad. A stupid visual joke.
Yeah, like, that. Maybe that's what I went, huh. I think that was it.
Yeah, so there's the merch, and then
Well, and then right after that, it goes to, they're in India, because what's her face? Arashi, whatever her name is. What is her name? That sounds bad that I don't remember. Ashani, thank you. She's like, have you ever seen the Taj Mahal? And he's like, no, I haven't. She's like, come over here with me. And they're like having a romantic moment.
They go on a date, basically.
Yeah, and like, there's like, this is the part where I was like, I don't get how this world functions, because they're flying over water, and there's like a bunch of birds, but they're like mini planes.
Yeah, that was so bizarre. It was really bumping.
Again, I don't get it. That's what
I was like, there's zero emotional connection to any characters or anything that's happening in this movie.
Like, earlier he was like, nice propeller, now he's like, oh yeah, let's go on a date, but I have no personality.
Yeah, and neither do you.
Like, if he would have been more Dane Cook, it would have been better.
No, Dane Cook is terrible.
No, but like, he would have had more of a personality, though.
No.
You
That's
don't
his
think
whole
so?
thing, yeah, it's very much him, which is no personality.
I don't know. But she's like, oh, you could, because they're going to fly through the Himalayas. That's the next leg of the trip.
Oh,
And
but
she's like,
they're going to the Taj Mahal, which looked terrible.
Yeah.
Oh.
And she's like, oh, you could always take the iron compass, which is like, and there was a scene earlier where she was talking to the what is his name? Gunslinger? Ripslinger, whatever. She's like talking to him, so like, it was very obvious that clearly this was a setup.
So I don't remember that.
Oh, no, it just like, it was during the bar scene, which you blacked out apparently.
Yeah.
But she was like sitting at a table with Ripslinger for like a hot second. And then like this scene, she's like, you could always try the iron compass. It's a railroad that goes through the Himalayas. I don't know if that's a thing. Clearly that's a bad idea. She's clearly trying to set him up.
Right. And he does all this crazy stuff. And he ends up flying through a railroad tunnel.
And almost getting hit by a train.
Right, which is like the most obvious stupid thing that you've ever seen. At this point, I said, this might be the worst movie I've ever seen.
We'll see. But he ends up, and at first it's like maybe a dream sequence, but it's like a Nepalese like temple.
Yeah. Because they were flying to Nepal.
He ends up in first place because he went through the tunnel.
But it made it seem like it was a dream that he died, but it was because he got hit by the train. Like, it was just so stupid.
Little mini cars that are like monks, like Buddhist monks, which I feel is like, again, the very blatant stereotype that just doesn't. Well, they were supposed to be Buddhist monks, right?
Well, they were Buddhist monks, but they're like
they're in Nepal.
They're the airport tugs. Yeah.
Okay.
Nepalese monks.
Is that what Buddhist monks are? Is in Nepal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they used to be, but not now.
But then, like, he sees Ishani has like a new propeller from Ripslinger, and then he's like, that's how he knows that she betrayed him. And I'm like, ooh, shocker, I called it.
Yeah.
And then all of his friends call him and they're going to like meet him in Mexico. And he's like, okay, great. And then the racist Mexican wrestling plane, Chupacabra, this whole time he's been obsessed with the Canadian plane, Rochelle.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
They do this stupid mariachi scene outside of her window.
And he's all like hypety, and then Dusty is like, oh, you gotta low and slow, man. You gotta sing the slow song. And so he sings like a slowed down version of Love Machine.
Oh, yeah, Machine. Love Machine.
Like a Hispanic slowed down version of Love Machine. And all of a sudden, Rochelle, the plane, who's like up in a building somewhere, which makes no sense. How'd she get up there? I don't know.
Yeah, in a bedroom.
And she's like, oh, okay, this is great. Yeah, I love you now. It's just,
that is followed by the worst possible joke in the entire movie, the Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Oh, well, no. Well, before we get there, they're going over the next leg and they have to fly from, like, Nepal to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And the two little...
China to Mexico.
Right.
There's a little spot in between that really nothing happened. It was not worth anything.
But the two little sidekicks of Rip Slinger, like, follow Dusty and knock off his, like, navigator antenna, so he gets flown off course and... He has no gas, and then he, like, crashes into the water.
No. He hits the aircraft carrier first. They save him.
No, he crashes into the water, and then they rescue him. Like, divers rescue him.
No, that's later in the movie. You're missing a whole middle part.
No, they rip off his antenna.
And he keeps going until the Air Force finds him.
Right.
He lands on the aircraft carrier.
Right, because they rescue him out of the water.
No,
really?
He doesn't crash into the water till after the aircraft carrier.
That doesn't make any sense, David.
Yes, it does. He hits the aircraft carrier, they refuel him, they shoot him off the thing, they tell him he has to fly over the storm. He doesn't fly over the storm because he's so upset about the skipper only flying one mission that he then crashes into the water.
God, see, that's how bad this movie is. I couldn't remember. So yeah, he, like, oh, you're right, because in the sky, and the guys are, like, fighter jet guys are like, I'm sorry, that's how bad this movie is.
I know, but still, take at least good enough notes.
That's not right. But I'm sorry, it's an honest mistake.
It is.
But yeah, so he... Yeah, because they fly up next to him and they're like, where are you going? Like, you have no fuel. And...
Yeah, you're 375 miles away from Hawaii. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's right. They land him on the aircraft carrier, and that's where he sees the, like...
The Captain Leon thing. And at that point I wrote, literally the worst movie ever. Because even though there's all this dramatic stuff happening, it's horrible and totally does not suck you in. You don't care. You hope the little thing just drowns.
Yeah, because, well, he finds out that Skipper was only on one mission.
Yeah, which, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter.
No, and they're like, there's a tropical storm coming. You have to go.
And you have to fly high.
But he doesn't fly high.
Yeah, he doesn't do any of that. He's all upset about the skipper only having flown one mission and crashes into the water, apparently right off the coast of Mexico, because they basically immediately rescue him out of the water.
Yeah.
And he's there in Mexico.
Yeah. And he gets out of the water and he's all messed up.
And he's just like needlessly devastated, whining about the skipper. He only flew one mission. Because this was not a big deal in the beginning of the movie, but suddenly it's just devastating to Dusty.
Yeah, and
he was a big racer before he had anything to do with Skipper. Like, it shouldn't matter at all.
Skipper helped him become a racer.
Well, right, but his spirit was all about racing.
Oh, yeah. But, like, basically, you find out that Skipper is, like, his whole squadron was taken down in Guadalcanal. in World War II, right? Is that the time frame? And they're like flying, and they're like, "Come on, Skipper, let's go down and take out that ship." And he's like, "Oh, okay, that's fine." And then they all get ambushed and they die, basically.
Right. So then
He's like, "I'm never gonna fly again."
Right, which is just stupid.
Which is like, if you only went on one mission, how did you become head of an entire squadron? Don't you have to go on a number of missions to become head of a squadron?
We won't even get into that.
But no, really.
But remember
don't you?
from the World War II documentary thing that, like, the young people were, like, put into positions of authority right away with disastrous results?
Okay, I guess that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So then all of his competition comes together to fix up his dumb
Which
plane.
is like, I was confused at first because he went down. He should be disqualified.
Right, but at some point they said, oh, because his radio was tampered with, he's not disqualified. But yet the other two chodes that tampered with his radio are not disqualified for some reason.
Why are they even allowed to fly? Because they're like the assistants of, I keep wanting to call him Gunslinger, or Ripslinger. Like, they're like on his racing team. That would be like somebody on the Indy 500, which I know nothing about, by the way. Don't hate me. But that would be like a pit crew going out there driving cars. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
And, like, they're just still flying around. Like, clearly his antenna was tampered with. It's like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
But basically all the other planes give him a bunch of stuff so he can get fixed.
Yeah, so they fix him.
And now he's, like, super awesome.
He's super awesome. He's flying. And then those planes and Ripslinger attack him again. They almost kill him. But then Skipper saves the day.
Well, before that, when they're getting ready to go, they're like, Chug is, like, watching video of the Ripslinger's race.
Yeah.
And he, like, keeps rewinding it towards the end, and then he, like, whispers something to...
He shows him, like, this finishing move that Ripslinger does when he wins.
Yeah, and basically there's, like, a sequence where Ripslinger and the two sidekick guys, who I can't remember the names of, are, like, chasing Dusty, and then Skipper comes, and, like, they divert him, and there's a whole thing, and then, like, the only way he can beat Ripslinger is to, like, go up in the jet streams, and he's like, don't look down, and then he suddenly overcomes his fear of heights, and he's above all the clouds, and all of a sudden he's like, woo, I'm amazing.
Right, which still felt like a 0.
Yeah, like, it didn't have any punch at all.
Yeah.
And then he all of a sudden, like, overtakes Ripslinger at the last second because he flies, like, behind him because he turns to face the cameras because he doesn't know he's there.
Yeah, like, behind and
like,
underneath him.
It's like an NFL player pre-celebrating before they get a touchdown.
Right.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh my god, I lost. And then all of a sudden, like, Ripslinger just, like, goes away. He's all dirty. And he's like, okay, bye. And gets, like, taken away. And then all of, like, the little, the car, plane, fan, German guy is like, we're here to support you. And he's like, oh, really? And, like...
And they show, like, all these, like, underdog, like, cars and trucks and stuff. Like, he's supposed to be this champion of the people. And it's like, that just lands on a solid turd
like, we're
thud.
all here because you showed us we're more than what we're made for. And I thought that was going to be the end, but then it goes to a scene where him and Skipper are, like, being launched off an aircraft carrier. He's got a new paint job, and he looks like a regular jet now.
Yeah, it's just stupid.
And he's like, I'm an honorary Jolly Roger, or Jolly Ranger, whatever.
Wrencher.
Wrencher? I thought it was Ranger.
No, it's Wrencher.
Oh, God.
If you notice, the skull has wrenches for the crossbones.
Oh, okay, gotcha. But, oh yeah, I wrote, he wins the race, ... I'm so shocked. Like, you could have called that from the very beginning of the movie.
You really could have.
Okay, God. It just... I thought this movie was going to be bad, but, like, this was just annoying.
It was unredeemable. I knew it was going to be bad. I had no idea it was going to be this bad. I didn't know it could be this bad.
Yeah, no, it was not good.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part?
None. I didn't
No.
like any of the movie.
I mean, I wrote, like, I think I did like the second half of the movie more than the first half.
Why?
I don't know, like, I kind of liked the different, like, sequences, I guess, of them flying to the different places.
If
but,
anything, like the first 10 minutes of the movie to me was the best part.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really have a favorite part either, to be honest. Like, talking it through now, I mean, maybe, like, none of it.
It was all bad.
I don't know, and that's the other part is, like, there was music in this movie.
And it was
I don't
all
remember
bad.
any of it.
It was all
I
bad.
only remember, like, the slow jam Hispanic version of, like, the Love Machine song.
I'm just a love machine, and I won't work for nobody but you.
I remember the New York song, which was terrible. There was some really, really bad Indian music playing during their date scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just terrible. Terrible.
The animation, though, I actually thought was quite good.
I thought it was pretty bad.
Really?
It wasn't. It was like as detailed as Toy Story 1.
Maybe, but, like, I mean, I thought that was, like, the strongest point of the thing was the animation.
Yeah, but for 2013, it was kind of bad.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
There were a few points where I was like, this is just not rendered well. Like, it just doesn't look good.
I don't know. Maybe I was just, like, looking for something to like about it.
You might be, because I couldn't find anything.
It was so, like, I don't know. I don't know. And then as far as the main character, we have Dusty.
Who was just terrible.
He has no personality.
None.
And, like, no...
None. No
like,
redeeming
okay,
qualities.
you want to be a racer. Okay, great. Like, what else?
Yeah, and?
Like, there's no backstory as to, like, why he wants to be a racer. Like, did he see some racer as a child that he fell in love with? Like, there's just not enough context and substance to make this movie good.
But yet he had this, like, encyclopedic knowledge of racing.
Is there something in Cars that we're missing? Like, because we haven't seen Cars.
I don't know, but I hope Cars is better than this for how popular it is.
They made 4 of them, so I would imagine it is.
Yeah.
They made a whole land at Disneyland about Cars.
And then Rip Slinger, who is, like, a just dumb villain.
No, he's not even, really a villain. Like, he's pissed off because he's been, like, hot shit forever, and, like, then this farmer guy comes and he's like, oh, I'm gonna be better. Like, I'm on his side.
Yeah, who doesn't
Like,
even have, like, the engine to keep up with a Rip Slinger, like, plane. Like, it makes no sense.
And he's not even really that villainous. Like, he's just, like, a typical, he just wasn't really there. Like, I don't know. I just didn't...
My note for that was vanilla jerk.
Vanilla jerk. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought he was weak. And to me, villains are a big part of movies, like especially, like, animated movies, like, they're just such a big, important part of the story, and this was just weak.
But, I mean, if your main character is super weak, how are you going to have a strong villain? Like,
I don't know.
It's not going to work.
Side characters, you have Chug.
Who's terrible and
Dottie,
unlikable. Worse.
Who's just nothing.
Yep.
And Skipper, who might be the only okay character in this movie.
Okay-ish, yeah.
And Ashani, I guess.
Who's okay.
Well, you have all the cars. Like, there's just... But it's like... It's almost like... You know what this is like? They tried to have, like, a diverse cast of side characters like Toy Story. But there's nothing there.
Yeah, there's really nothing there.
And... I don't know.
And then you have the whole story.
It's predictable.
It's one race. It's whack.
And it's not even like predictable, like the way a traditional story, like you kind of know what's going to happen, whatever, like, but literally, like, you don't need to watch the movie. You know what's going to happen, and there's no build up to feeling like, oh, I'm so glad he won.
Right.
Like, it would have been better if he would have lost the race.
Yeah, it really would have.
Like, it didn't. There was just nothing there. I didn't like it. And then as far as, like, the message, more than what you're made of, which I have a problem with, to be honest. Because, like, I understand that they're trying to say, like, oh, you know, you can do anything, but, like I said earlier, it's like, no, there's no way that this stupid crop dusting plane, who's designed for going slow, I don't even think they can go over, like, 30 miles an hour. It's not going to win some race against this fighter jet.
Right, this racing airplane.
Like, it's I don't care how hard you, like, practice or whatever, it's just not going to happen.
Right, math is not on your side.
That's a problem that I have, because I understand that Disney movies are supposed to be all about dreams and blah, 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 but, like, this isn't even possible in a fantasy world. Like, it just doesn't happen.
It's just stupid.
And I don't like that message, I guess.
Right, I don't either.
I have a problem with it.
I don't either. I think it's a dumb message, and it's a dumb movie.
I don't know. I'm glad we got it over with. We don't have to watch it again.
I would never watch this movie again.
So let me ask you this. If you had to choose, would you watch this or would you watch the Santa Claus 3 again?
I would watch the Santa Claus 3 all day long, every day, versus this movie. The Santa Claus 3 has enjoyable and entertaining points in the movie.
So this is going to, like, dethrone the bottom of the bottom then for you.
Oh, yeah.
God, it was so boring. Like, I was ready for it to be over. Usually I can find something redeeming about these movies.
That's what I'm saying. There was
just
nothing entertaining.
It was bad. Do you want me to give my rating first?
Well, do you have any final thoughts?
Oh, yeah, final thoughts. I was trying to avoid that part because the movie sucks. My final thought is just, I didn't agree with the message. The characters are weak. No good songs. I can't even remember any of the songs other than the Love Machine song, which is already a famous song, not an original song.
And was already done in the Cheech and Chong movie, but whatever.
Yeah, it just wasn't... Everything was predictable. It wasn't... There was no attachment to the characters. The villain was terrible. Story was boring. Like, I just... And, you know, it's not like, like people could say, like, oh, you went into it not wanting to like it. Well, I went into The Lone Ranger not wanting to like that, and I love that movie.
Oh, yeah, I've learned that doesn't matter anymore.
Like, this is just a bad movie.
Yeah, this movie. It's terrible.
So, what about you? Any final thoughts?
I just gave my final thought.
And then maybe only for a select group of kids would like this movie.
Even then, don't show it to them.
There's better Disney movies to show them.
Or any movies.
Yeah.
So, what was your rating?
I gave this movie a 6%.
That's very generous.
That's generous? 6. Like, one number. 6.
Yeah. I gave this movie a 0 with authority. If I could have given it less, I absolutely would have.
You gave it a 0%?
I gave it a 0. If you can find me a redeeming scene, a redeeming line in this movie, I would give it a 1. I dare you to find it.
0%. So literally, there's nothing that can beat this movie in terms of bad.
Well, there could be other zeros, but this is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. This is horrible. There are movies that are so bad that they end up being good or funny.
Yeah.
This is so bad that it can't be good or funny.
No.
Like, in my notes, there are multiple times I was like, who is this movie for? How is this even considered funny? Who is, like, what in the hell? So the Rotten Tomatoes score with the critics is 26%, and somehow with the audience is 49%. So somewhere, there are half of the dummies in the world that like this movie. And it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's bad.
I don't get it.
I don't either. We should move on.
Yeah, and
There's
we
better
will.
things out there to watch.
Yeah.
Unless it's going to be like, here you go, watch this movie from like 1940 something.
Well, the number is 130.
Oh, God.
So it's a little
Wait, okay, I need
mid-aged.
a second. I'm really nervous, but I'm excited.
Okay.
But, okay, I'm ready now. 130. Hit me with it. What is it?
The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Okay. I know what to expect. I've seen Winnie the Pooh. I don't think I've seen that. Maybe I've seen this.
This comes from 1977. I don't think I've seen it, but I definitely could have.
But you know what Winnie the Pooh is.
Yeah, I do know what Winnie the Pooh is.
So...
It's going to be better than Planes, I can promise that.
Well, we would hope.
No, there's no way it's not. It's just not.
The Many Adventures... Okay, so...
It's almost disappointing that this movie was so bad because I mean, sure, it's possible that another movie is going to be worse than this. I just don't know how.
Well, maybe we got the worst one out of the way. But, okay, so Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. So, I watched the Winnie the Pooh cartoon that was on Disney Channel quite a bit when I was a kid.
See, and when I was a kid, it was like the live action-y, weird 80s thing that they had going on.
About that.
Oh, it's super weird.
But, like, I actually kind of like Winnie the Pooh a lot.
I don't. And I think that all the Winnie the Pooh stories are exactly the same. So we'll see how this one goes.
But you like the ride in Disney World? That was fun. The dark ride where you're in the honey pot.
Yeah, that is fun. That is fun.
So,
well, unless you got anything else.
I mean, just asking people to please leave us a review on iTunes. Thank you for anybody that already has. We record these way ahead of time, so if you've left us a review, it's just we can't call it out because we record these way ahead of time. So by the time we called you out, it would be like 3 months later.
And as far as I'm concerned, subscribe. That's what makes us feel good.
Yes,
listen to us every week.
We get excited when we look at the downloads.
Because regardless of what the episode is, you're going to get some entertainment out of even something like Planes.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, please share it if you know anybody that likes Disney movies, podcasts, movies in general.
Yeah.
Please share so we can help grow the show. And you can check out our website at thedisneymovies.com. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff.
Etc.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, we'll just have to watch Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
That's right. So, this has been At the Disney Movies with the Hearts.
I'm Kelly.
I'm David.
Bye!
Bye!
Wine glass there. Your wine goblet.
Don't worry about it. I don't know what to do. The dog is relentlessly licking
is
me.
gonna pick up on the microphone.
It probably will. So if you hear, that's the dog licking me.
Luke, you should feel so ashamed.